Welcome
to the Age of Awakening.
Please identify yourself. Enter.
Hey, Triple P Nation, welcome back to the podcast where we're going to explore the tools, tactics, and strategies to help you achieve personal and business mastery. And in particular, this week, I'm going to cover for you, give you a little background to the GPS to Success Summit that we just completed this past weekend, which is an absolute hit. Man, the amount of breakthroughs, the reinvigorating energy that people experience, the coming together of like-minded people who have a passion for growth, passion for expanding every aspect of their life, their business, personal, the relationships, whatever it is. You guys know this. You guys know the deal here. It was really quite overwhelming. And I can't emphasize enough the amount of breakthroughs that people have had. I've had dozens of follow-up conversations with attendees, and really, I talk about events like this as being life altering, and they certainly can be if you show up in the right headspace, really with an open heart, open mind, with a willingness to be vulnerable and honest with yourself, because the only way we grow is through self-reflection and self-awareness. So that requires a sense of honesty and really being willing to acknowledge maybe some areas in life that are just not performing the way we want. It's identifying the habits and behaviors that we've been engaged in that are keeping us stuck where we're at. Because look, here we are. We're in November. Holidays are upon us. How many of you, if you look back 12 months ago, would say that your life is radically different or better than it was the year before? Now, I would venture in this audience, it's quite a few. But I also know it's quite a few that are going, I'm not kind of the same place that I was before. So the question I ask of you is, what are you going to do different this year that's going to make the next 12 months unique, different, and transformative than the past 12 months? Or are you just going to continue to do the same thing over and over and get the same result, of course, which is the definition of insanity? Well, I don't want that for you, and you don't want that for you. So the summit is when we come together as a group and really take the time, invest the time necessary to, again, just plan, to focus, reflect, and then project and clarify new desires in every aspect of your life. It's really that simple. So I'm going to cover a little bit what we talked about this past weekend, and we're going to talk specifically why it is you should be attending next year. I've had a few of you reach out and go, geez, I really wanted to come, but this happened, that happened, this happened. I get it. I know how life goes. Totally get it. But look, if you don't make investing in you, if you don't make working on you a priority, there will always be a reason or an excuse not to do the thing. Whatever that thing is, taking time each morning to prepare your mind, set intention, to prepare yourself for success. We could always find an excuse, right? The dog got up and he had the crap, so I had to take him out, clean the car. I mean, there's a million reasons we can find. Which reminds me, one of my favorite saying is, there's reasons and results. Pick one. You cannot have both. And of course, the reasons being the excuses, the rationalization that we create in our own headspace that gives us justification of why we didn't succeed or pursue the things that we desire. That's all they are. They're reasons. Are some legitimate? No question. But when you're on purpose, when you're on task, when you're pursuing your highest desires, guess what? Those things don't tend to happen, number one. And number two, you overcome it and still stay on track and pursue those goals. They don't become the obstacle. They simply become, a small little, blip that you're able to overcome. So we're going to talk about these things, and I want to give you an opportunity right now, 12 months in advance, to get yourself committed to coming next year. These things continue to grow. The summit continues to expand. The feedback, the breakthroughs. We literally had people there this year who doubled their income in 12 months, and then we're making good income. We had people there this year who were there the year previous, who started brand new businesses that are already successful. We had people there who were struggling with their health, some emotional stresses that are in a completely different place. We had people there who are going through divorce and now find their relationships renewed. There's a connection again, and there's purpose and passion back in the relationship. Now, is it the end all be all? Well, I like to think it is, but of course, you know, no, it's not. But as I mentioned, when people come focused and ready and committed, there's nothing that you cannot achieve. There's nothing that you can't overcome. There's nothing that you can't create, nothing you can't pursue without the right intentions, the right strategies, and the right mindset. So, again, I'm going to give you some insight to that. Now, of course, it wouldn't be a normal episode if we didn't start with our weekly success net. And the title this week is The Best Investment You Can Ever Make. Hint, hint, we just talked about it. So let's talk about the best investment you could ever make, and that is in you guys. So I'm going to give you some empirical data, and then I'm also going to give you some specific data as it relates to why you need to be setting time aside to work on you. You want to be a better mom, better dad. You want to be a better leader in your community, at work, for your employees. You want to have awesome health, incredible wealth. You want to experience great abundance as far as energy and rest and nutrition and all those things. You have to be intentional. And so people invest in themselves. Here's what they experience. Number one, they experience enhanced self-awareness. Because when you are working on you, you begin to understand and identify the strengths and most importantly, your weaknesses. And one of the things we spend a lot of time is identifying core values. You've heard me talk about core values a million times on the show, so I'm not going to go into it. If you haven't listened to some previous episodes on core values and why it's the key to success, in particular when it comes to achieving your goals, go back and listen to those because you need to reassess and evaluate your core values every single year. And fourth quarter is the time you need to do it before you set your goals for 2025. And don't even think ever of doing this New Year's resolution thing and setting goals then. It's an absolute utter waste of time. There is a specific purpose and plan that only 3% of the population know and do to crush their goals. Okay, the second thing is you're going to find that your emotional intelligence improves. So what is that? Well, you've heard me talk about that too. It's your ability to be empathetic, to self-regulate, control your impulses. It's your ability to manage your relationships, become a better communicator, to be more resilient, particularly under stress, to find that collaboration with like-minded people, which are only going to help elevate each other, are going to be really beneficial for you personally, professionally. You're also going to notice increased productivity and focus. Look, in our culture right now, there are a million things demanding our attention and our time. So if you're not intentional with your specific actions and behaviors, it's easy to get off course, and more particularly, to get off course with your goals. So as you're working on you, this is going to involve specific goal setting and building into your time management skills. And it's going to help you prioritize your tasks, minimize those distractions so you can maintain focus. The fourth thing you're going to notice is you're going to become a better leader and more influential. As I really started work and implement this stuff in my life over 30 years ago, what I lacked specifically was personal leadership. In other words, I didn't know how to lead myself. And before you can lead yourself, lead others, pardon me, you've got to learn how to lead yourself. And so personal leadership and then outward leadership within organizations and teams. Because leadership is a skill that you can develop through intentional work, again, with open communication and transparency and empathy and vision building. So if you invest in your development, you're better able to inspire, influence, and guide others through, through within your organization and on their path. The fifth thing is what personal development does is that it acts as a springboard as far as career advancement and earning potential. Because as you develop new personal skills, By improving your communication abilities and fostering a growth mindset, that's energetic and it's magnetic. People want to be a part of that. They see that in you and it inspires them to do the same thing. And the thing is you're working on your growth and you begin to change, everyone around you notices it. Not only are they excited for you, but you lead them whether you know it or not, right? Unintentionally in a way to inspire them to take more action and to work on themselves. And again, as a leader of an organization, that is your responsibility is to grow your people. And the sixth thing is you're going to notice that your life is just better. You're going to notice more well-being because when you are working on you, you can lead a more fulfilling life. It's going to build confidence and help you overcome those limiting beliefs, which I'll talk about here in just a minute. So you can reduce stress by fostering a sense of control over your path. Now, what's the empirical data? Okay, is there an actual return on investment for personal development? So I did some research, and here's what I found. People who are actively engaged in personal development on an annual basis increase their earnings by 20% on average. Let me repeat that 20% on average. So take whatever you're making right now. If you're making $100,000, you're going to increase your income to 120,000. If you're making a million, you're going to increase your income to 1.2 million dollars. And that's the hard numbers. There's also the soft skills, right? As I mentioned, communication. That's going to lead to salary increase because you're going to be better in your business, um, just from whether it's sales or promotions. So this is going to result in thousands, tens of thousands of dollars in increased earnings. So then there's the productivity gains. It has been found that people who are working on the cells, personal development, will improve their productivity by as much as 30%. Could you imagine being 30% more productive? That doesn't mean working more or harder. It just means being more efficient with the time that you spend. And if you're 30% more efficient, that means you have 30% more time to work on other things, like taking your spouse out to dinner or going for a workout or spending time with the kids or whatever it is that you enjoy doing. So, yeah, this was more than a success snack. It was probably a four-course meal. But the point is I can't emphasize enough how important it is to get serious about your own personal development. This, by the way, guys, the stigma with personal development 10, 15, 20 years ago is like, oh, you're kind of a weak person. You need to do personal development. I don't need to do that. I'm already developed personally. Bullshit. There isn't one of us that can't improve every aspect of their lives by 5 to 10%. And if we look at the four key areas mental, physical, financial, spiritual if you improve each of those areas by 10%, your life just increased in quality by 40%. It's small, incremental changes. I talked about last week the shedding list. People really love this. We do this every single year. And I talked about identifying the thoughts, habits, behaviors, relationships that you are currently involved in that no longer serve you. And I'm not going to go into the detail as I did previously on it, but so many people had breakthroughs. In fact, one team that was there, there was this one company, and they brought their entire organization there. And the owner of the business, her and I have had multiple conversations, in particular about um, one person on their management team, and she's known for quite some time that this person has been a thorn in their ability to grow and scale. But she's very empathetic and has a big heart and wanted to try to fix the world and, made many attempts. And I kept encouraging her. I would never tell her to fire. I kept encouraging her is that there is a significant drag on the entire organization because this person's in a position of leadership. And because you haven't stepped up as a leader and addressed it, it's creating toxicity in the entire organization. So the funny thing is that by the end of Saturday, her team came to her. They were all doing their shedding list. And so when they did their professional shedding list, they both had the top of their list this individual as toxic that they need to avoid being around. And she says, she said to me, she goes, okay, I know what I need to do now. I said, you've known what you need to do for a long, long time. You just needed to see and have it verified by your team that their level of happiness and satisfaction and production in your business is being significantly impacted because you, as a leader, haven't done what's required of you. And that's lead and not allow mediocrity onto your team. If you're going to lead, you got to set standards and expectations. And if those standards and expectations aren't being met, that's on you, not them. And I told her, I said, unless you make a change, you're going to lose them as well too. And now you're going to have to completely rebuild your team. So there were so many breakthroughs like that. It's just incredible and awesome to see. So the theme for this year's summit, the 2024 summit, was Unleash Your Inner Superhero. Kind of catchy, right? It really is based on the Todd Herman book, which is The Alter Ego Effect. Just an incredible book. And where he talks about that each and every one of us has these superpowers. Some of us know them, some of us are conscious of them. Um, we all have experienced them from time to time. Unfortunately, we don't leverage those superhero powers very often, and we don't have the capacity or we don't have the knowledge how to activate those superhero qualities. And so we did this whole morning presentation was 4 hours and identifying these superhero qualities that each and every one of us has. And more importantly, is identifying that in life, right? Life is all about duality, right? There's up, down, there's inside, outside, there's light, dark, hot, cold, male, female. We can go on forever. And so for us, there's duality as well too. There's the enemy within and the hero within. The enemy is the one that creates resistance in your life. The enemy is the one who shows up in what's called moments of impact. It's those moments in life that if we step up our best self, we have every opportunity to have a successful outcome that is completely transformative in every aspect of our life. But unfortunately, the enemy shows up far too often for most of us. And the enemy is rooted in our negative belief systems about ourselves, real or imagined. They still exist. And that resistance creates energy, negative energy, whether it's based in fear, anxiety, shame, guilt, anger, whatever it is. Those are low tone energies, low vibrational energies, which block the flow and creates a basically significant barriers for us to experience the best part of life. And so the resistance shows up when we're feeling stress, when we're being challenged, when there's new opportunities that makes us feel uncomfortable. And that can show up in the form of imposter syndrome, your past traumas, even tribal narratives, as far as, I identify this way, and because of this way, I can't possibly, pursue that. That was kind of a lousy example, but you kind of get what I'm trying to say here is that unless we identify the enemy within and understand the resistance that the enemy is chirping in our ear, okay? You're not good enough. You're not pretty enough. You're not smart enough. What makes you think that you could be successful? No one in our family has, ever done anything worthwhile. Um, you know, I can't attract money. I've never been good at public speaking. I don't know how to run a bit, whatever. I mean, these stories that plays on the loop in our mind. That's the resistance. So you have to acknowledge first, when does the resistance show up? And what's the loop that it's on? What's the internal message? That's the limiting belief. Once we identify that, then we have to create a method to disempower that negative belief and shift it and change it with something else, something different. And that something different is a new loop, is a new internal dialogue that we have with ourselves. Now, I'm giving you the briefest of synopsis of this presentation. This is 4+ hours, so it's quite lengthy. But I wanted to get you a feel and flavor that all of us, every single one of us, no matter where you are, it could be a billionaire, a multimillionaire, if you're just starting out, At every level, we all deal with these issues. And we're always going to hit the next level. In other words, we're going to be faced with overcoming this resistance. We have the courage to stand up to it, to identify it, replace it, and then step into our superhero powers. And that's going to take us to the next level. And then we're going to hit another level of resistance. And we have to do the same thing over and over and over. But here's the thing, the more we do it, the easier it becomes. The easier it becomes, the more resilient we are and how quickly we can begin to shift. And that's what exponentially grows our success because it doesn't take the same amount of time. In fact, the time is cut in half every new level you reach. But that's not done by accident. That's done intentionally. That's done by somebody who has a plan. Done by somebody who understands what it takes and how to implement that plan. So, one of the tools we talked about was activating your inner hero. Now, these are habits that determine our destiny, right? The choices and decisions we make determine destiny. The choices and decisions that we make today will determine what our future looks like tomorrow. Now, the tool that we use is designed to help you specifically to prioritize the success habits necessary for you to activate the hero within. Now, one of the reasons I really love this book by Todd Herman, it's much of the stuff that I've learned before, but just different language and a different way to present it. And so the 7 steps to activate your hero within are almost identical to the 8 habits of success I wrote in my book, Change Your Mind, Change Your Destiny. So I'm going to go over those with you here today. So the first one, in no particular order, right? But the one first on the list here is meditation. Meditation is the most effective way to transform and transpose the negative limiting beliefs that are on loop in our subconscious mind. Now, our subconscious mind dominates our daily habits and behaviors. 90% of the things we do day in and day out occurs from the subconscious mind. In other words, we're doing it without really any conscious thought. And that subconscious mind is what's known as the reticular activating system, which is found in the amygdala, which simply means is that when you get in your car to drive to work or drive to the office, you don't really even have to thinking about it. How many times you pull into the parking like, holy crap, I don't even know did I stop at a stop sign 2 blocks ago? That's the reticular activating system. Your mind's somewhere else, but your body's in subconscious mode. And so it knows what to do because it's done a million times. Do you know 90% of the things you do in your day, every day, is from your subconscious mind? And that's this concept. If we can just be more self aware and self conscious, remove ourselves from the subconscious mind into more of a conscious mind, then we become intentional. And intentional means we become strategic and specific in the actions we take. And the more specific we become, the better the results we get. So, meditation literally, when we go through the different um, waves, brain waves of consciousness. So think of it in this way. So there's beta brainwaves is actual consciousness. I'm having a conversation with you, and hopefully you're listening. If not, maybe you're thinking of something else. That means you're in alpha, just below consciousness. You hear me, but you're not really listening to me, which probably most of you are. And then there's theta. So the third level is theta. And theta, which is what actually gets us into the subconscious mind, where we can begin to change the internal negative dialogue and replace that with positive things. So meditation clears our mind, gets us focused in intention, and begins to change the internal dialogue of our subconscious mind. So the second step is mentoring and coaching. I'm a firm believer that there's probably more than, than anything that I could possibly even think of is that not one of us is successful without our community of people that we stand on their shoulders. They've helped us, they've guided us, they mentored us, they held us accountable, they kicked us in the ass when we needed to. We all need mentors and coaches. You cannot go it alone. Oh, you can, but you're not going to get where you want to go. At least the chances of it are less than 90%. That's how important mentors and coaches are. The third thing is breath work. So I mentioned that in Dr. Wayne Dyer's work, he talks about inspire. The Latin is inspiritu, which means to be one with the maker. So when you're breathing, doing breath work, you're literally inviting the divine intervention of the universe of God into you. That look, when you're in that consciousness, all that negativity goes away because you can't be thinking negative and abundant at the same time. It's just not possible. So breath work. It also gets us in a state of consciousness that takes us from a fight or flight to more of a relax, or what we call sympathetic, parasympathetic. So sympathetic is when stress, stress, go, 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 which most of us are in almost all day, every day, where we consciously pull our nervous system back to parasympathetic, where that causes the creative mind to be engaged. And in creative mind, which is right brain, disempowers the prefrontal cortex of the brain, the left brain. That's the logic center. That's the one that chirps in your ear during those moments of impact, where you're experiencing the enemy, speaking the resistance, the crap that's been on your loop in your subconscious mind since you've been a little child. Breath work is key. And then we have visualization, which is very similar to the first three I just taught, or first four that I just talked about. Visualization, the mind can't tell the difference between an actual event and one vividly imagined in great detail. What does that mean? That means when you have such clarity in what it is that you want, and you can see it, feel it, smell it, taste it, tactile, everything. And you can do so with emotion. In other words, how are you going to feel in a moment when you accomplish that thing that you want? That creates an energetic alignment and a synergistic between mind, body, and heart. And when we do that, again, exponentially grows our ability to achieve the goals that we want. And then the fifth one is we got to be pursuing, we got to be working on our skills. Summit is time to set aside to work on your skills, your mindset skills. Now, this could be your communication skills, but you got to be always pursuing growth. Number 6 is affirmations. And 6 is similar to meditation, that it gets when you're affirming, or when you're replacing that negative talk with positive talk, when you're affirming intentionally, that literally will then download in your subconscious mind, which then creates neural new pathways or synapses, or what's called neuroplasticity. So you break the bondage of the old negative thinking as you're building new positive thinkings. And I'm the perfect example of that. I grew up in an environment that was very negative. It's just what it was. So I was always expecting the worst thing to happen. And most of the time that the worst thing always would happen. Why? Because that's what I expected. So I got what I expected. But I actually manifested that because my belief was something was always going to go wrong. Or I would do something to self-sabotage, which would pull the carpet right out from underneath me. And then I would literally actualize the belief systems that I had. By the way, it's the same thing for you. So as I started to do this work through the years, my default thought process was no longer negative, disempowering, but it was empowering, right? Empowering dreams, igniting passion, accelerating prosperity. It was empowering. My belief was things were going to work out properly. And guess what? Most of the time they do, because that's my belief system. Whatever you believe, you get. And number 7 is goal setting. When you're clear on your values, when you know what your desires are, you can see it in your mind and you can resonate with it emotionally. You know how it's going to feel when you achieve it. There's not a single goal that you can accomplish. Not a single goal. And that's the incredible work of taking time to work on you. So I've got a very special offer. Hopefully you're listening to this, you're going, that sounds pretty cool. I'm finally going to commit and tend to next year's event. So I have a very special offer for you. If you would like to, you can pre-register for next year, 2025, which is November 7th and 8th of 2025. And for $100, you can pre-register, hold your seat, get the lowest discount on next year's tickets, and you can do so at no risk. What does that mean? It means you can cancel that up to 60 days prior to the event. So right after Labor Day next year, if something happens, you go, I can't make it, no problem. You're refunding your money. I believe so through every fiber, through every cell of my body, that everyone needs to do this work. In fact, I revealed at the summit this year, my ultimate dream is to bring this into the school system, because if we can teach the kids these types of skills, we're going to have a very, very different country. If we can teach kids this empowering mindset, if we could teach kids how to handle and face adversity, how to be able to deal with fear and negative thoughts, could you imagine how much different this world would be? How much less emotional issues there would be? How many kids on these antidepressants and anti-anxiety drugs, if they had skill sets they can handle it on their own. The only reason they're on that crap is because they don't have the skills how to deal with it appropriately. No one's taught them. I want to do that. That's a goal for mine. And I'd love for your help to help me make that become a reality. By the way, we had a couple of attendees who brought their high school kids, seniors. That was so cool. That was so cool. You know, seniors kind of have an idea what they might want to do, don't really have an idea what they want to do. And I spoke to both of them afterwards, and they came out of there just completely blown away with vigor and passion about their future and more clarity on who they are and what they want to do. But more importantly, having the skill sets to figure it out now. That's the other thing. The tools that you learn, you can take and use for the rest of your life. And as I discussed early in our success snack, if you increase, as you work in your personal development, and you increase your income by 20%, that's 20% every year. Every year. Now, next year, it's every single year. And then it only continues to go up and up from there. Okay, so how do you do it? Two simple ways. You can go to powerpassionprosperity.com. Go to the webpage. Up on the banner, you'll see shop, and it's the first button. It's 2025 summit. I think it's pre-register. Or very simply, you can do this. You can go to the triple-p-life.com /GPS 2025. That's the, right, all one word, the triple-p-life.com /GPS 2025. Again, for a simple $100, reserve your seat. Seats are limited. We keep expanding each year, but you know, they are limited. Get your ticket to learn how to be the most successful you, to have the best life you can possibly have, the best relationships, the best health, to turn on the spigot of abundance and wealth in your life you never dreamed of. Join us, and maybe you'll have the similar breakthroughs as so many people did this past weekend. So, a couple things I want to wrap up with is we had two pretty heavy shows this past couple of weeks with Cheryl Atkinson and Polly Tommy. And for those of you who watch this show on YouTube, you probably didn't see the Polly Tommy interview because YouTube pulled it down within an hour of us posting it. I got an email saying that we violated their rules and regulations and policies for vaccine misinformation, and that they would reconsider posting the episode if I took their vaccine training program. Well, after about 10 minutes of calming down, and what I really wanted to say, I emailed back and said, yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. Here's my suggestion. Why don't your executives take my training program on the serious effects and impact vaccines have on people that are causing severe illness, sickness, and death? Yeah, I haven't heard back yet, so I don't expect to either. But you can find that episode on your podcast apps. There's been no issues there on Spotify. on Google Chrome or Google Play or Apple iTunes or any of your other podcast apps. So you can find it there. I want to thank all of you who reached out and had comments. I know so many of you were just absolutely amazed with the information. You love Cheryl and the content. Um, Again, I'm going to ask you, please share those episodes, right? Great content should flow through you, not to you. There are people who need to hear that comment. And who knows, you may save a life or certainly help them prevent from experiencing all kinds of trauma and pain in their life unnecessarily. So that's all I'm asking. That's what I'm saying that we need to do for each other. And then we got a great lineup of guests coming up here through the end of the year. Excited to have some really sharp, incredible people that are going to provide great knowledge for you. And again, the three key areas of life, actually four, if we talk spiritual. And it's going to be a great 2025. I look forward to spending it with you. I want to thank each and every one of you who have been loyal listeners. Man, I do this for you. I love and appreciate each and every one of you. I do it because it's my purpose. It's what I'm called to do. I I I'm honored that I have your trust. I'm honored that you're willing to take 45 minutes an hour out of your week to listen to our shows. And I'm honored that you're a part of this movement, this Triple P Life movement. And I can't say enough how grateful I am and how appreciative I am for each and every one of you. And yeah, so have a great Thanksgiving with your family. Uh, Share the love, the joy, the gratitude, and just be grateful for all the amazing things that we have. We really do live in an incredible country, and we're incredibly blessed. So, Triple P Life, Triple P Nation, you be you. Just be the best you, and I promise you will always empower your dreams, ignite your passion, and accelerate your prosperity. Until next week, be well.